All right, welcome back to Roundtail Restoration, everybody. My name's Chris, and contrary to my previous statements, I know what kind of car I have. Restoring a 1964 Triumph TR4 and continuing disassembly, so let's get to it. Thanks for watching. So I was over here yesterday with my youngest, and we did quite a bit of work. You can see that the windshield is out, and the dash is starting to come apart here. I didn't record any of it, but the windshield came out. It's the same exact windshield as I've mentioned before that is on the Spitfire, and this is the original glass here. You can see that it's Pilkington, made in England, from that triplex stuff. So that should be all original. I believe that the windshield has been off before. I think the dash has definitely been out before. You can see those bolts down there that hold on the dash across the top. A couple of them are really, really shiny, so those aren't original. So obviously that's been done before, maybe when they put the wood dash in. I think I have to take the steering column out yet, but I'm going to get this dash out. And again, the whole goal here is to get close to the battery box just so I can take a look. There's also, if you watch Chef Tuss's videos on his Triumph TR250 from quite a few years ago, in here is the scuttle drain and all that, and that's pretty bad rust-wise. That's essentially where this hose kind of taps back in when it gets in the car. So I want to do some inspection there as well. That's with all this rust here, that's obviously had some problems. So we'll continue with this assembly and see how it goes. Also, I've got a wireless microphone, so if that thing doesn't work very well or whatever, this audio may not be real great. So I apologize if the audio is crap. Got the center switch thing out. So you got your ignition switch in here, your windshield wipers, the choke, your washer pump, and your lights. I've already got the washer pump out. Still seems to work. I can feel some pressure in there. These switch pulls are not original. They look like I think they're TR6 ones. Choke pull looks original though, but it's a shame that choke cable itself, if you can see down there, is really, really heavily crimped. So I'm not too sure that I'm going to be able to save that, but that would be cool if I could. Key is original as far as I know. I think I've mentioned that. And but unfortunately this plinth is cracked. You can see over there, and it's cracked and losing, or has lost pieces, I should say, over here. And that little metal piece is kind of seen better days. I think you can get that metal piece. I still believe they make those, but the larger ones for the gauge clusters that are on the other cars, you can't get those anymore. But anyway, I'm going to get these switches off, get this thing bagged and tagged, and keep going. Got this all apart. You can see that's pretty well beat up. Cracked several places, definitely not repairable. Whether or not I'll salvage it, I don't know. And unfortunately, this is in not the best shape either. But you got this little backing plate, and that gives the strength for the switches. So you got the various switches here, and I didn't show you, but when you want to get the switch pulls off, you see that little hole that's in there. You just take a real small Phillips screwdriver through that hole, and this little detent here, this little push pin, you push that down, and it's kind of spring-loaded a little bit there, and you just pull the switch off. The ignition switch looks original to me, so that's cool. Clean that up. But we'll get all this stuff bagged. The 4 choke cable's got the huge crimp in it. We'll get all this stuff bagged up and continue. Got to remove the steering shaft now from the interior. Very similar setup to the Spitfire. So you just have this. This is like that shear. If you get into an accident, the shaft would come this way, and this would break away and allow the shaft to collapse a little bit. So I got to take this locking mechanism off here and break the shaft right here. And this is just a compression fitting. And then the steering knuckle here is a little bit nicer than the Spitfire's was. Big heavy rubber piece in there for road vibration dampening and all that. And then you have a little wire that connects the two for ground so that the horn still works. But I should be able to just break it there, loosen that up, and the steering wheel itself should hopefully come off. Alrighty, dash is out. The steering wheel is stuck inside this little piece here. I got to get that off before I can slide the tube all the way through. So just a couple things here. So obviously all this wiring here, and then whenever they replaced this piece that broke, they welded the whole bar to this thing. So obviously I don't think, because this is pretty good access right here, I doubt that the car was disassembled like this when they went to do this, and just kind of threw the mid-torch up there, shot, and crossed their fingers and hope they got it. So there's the scuttle in there. So this can potentially all fill with water in here, and that's where that rusts out pretty bad. That's the problems that Jeff Tush had really in this corner and all that kind of stuff. It got really ugly. This one doesn't look too bad. There's some leaves in here. I really got to get in there and look. Then you have an access panel here and an access panel over there. Get those opened up. You can definitely see some rust signs over here, but not really too much over here. And then these dash vent louvers and all that kind of stuff. I get the dash over to the workbench and start disassembling that. I'm not sure that I can get this thing off. I think that's welded in pretty good. Obviously that piece is going to get cut and replaced. I'll probably end up drilling it out. Looks like it's tacked in there. I'll probably end up drilling it out and just building a new one and then putting it back in so that it's a halfway decent job. But we'll get all these struts out of here and get all this stuff figured out and see what we've got when we're done. Got the steering rack all kind of put back together here. This is the that shear joint that I was talking about. Set up almost identical to the Spitfire. The knuckle here is different, a little more beefy like I had mentioned. There's also supposed to be lock wire. If you can see that hole there, there's supposed to be lock wire on these to just secure them together, and there's no lock wire here, so that either has been taken apart or I'm sure it's been taken apart. All the hardware's down there. I got that bagged up, and all the electronics are in that bag. The horn push and all that, since I don't want that to get wrecked. I have no idea. This is obviously an aftermarket cover here. I have no idea if somebody or when that got put on and what the condition of the steering wheel is underneath. But hopefully it's been on for a long time, and that helped protect the plastic and everything underneath just to keep it nice. There is a little crack in here. So I do have another one of these steering wheels that I got when I got the black car, the black Spitfire. So we'll go ahead and continue bagging this up, and then we're going to start taking apart the dash. Got the dash mainly torn down here. You can see that got quite a bit of rust here. My intention is to go back to a a metal dash, which means this would need to get painted white. I'm still got to get these lights off. Still got to get the ventilation louvers off. Got these crash pads off. They look to be in pretty good shape. Definitely not original. I had mixed matched nuts and everything on that. So I think that the more I kind of study the car and look at it, I think it may have undergone what I guess I could call a refresh, where they redid the dash, redid the body, essentially non-mechanical stuff. Obviously the engine was getting ready to come out, but I don't think that that was done at the same time that everything else was done. But the seems to be a halfway decent job. I mean, the stuff wasn't those crash pads, at least anymore, are not cheap. The hazard switch also came out, and I'm wrong, it's not a kit. It is from Lucas, so my guess is maybe one thing I didn't consider is maybe it's from a TR6 or a later car, and that they just took that hole and took the dimmer switch away. So somewhere in there's a dimmer switch that isn't wired up anymore for the dash lights. But so we'll just continue on. We'll get these lights out and get the ventilation louvers out and get stuff continue to tear stuff down. I got lucky and got one screw out. Unfortunately, the other screw is essentially rusted, and when you tried to spin it, the whole top of the screw came off. So I'm going to take my flap disc and very gently just try to grind that screw out, and hopefully then it'll just kind of fall. I still have the whole ventilation thing attached, so it doesn't drop and break. So you can kind of see where the screw itself, you can see that little circle in there, I hope, where the screw itself is actually going through. So I'm just going to take a little punch through, it should fall out, hopefully. Or a Phillips screwdriver. Yep. Alright, so that's cool. Now we'll go on, we'll get the top screw off. Alright, should pull right out. Alright, there you go. So the little ventilation louver just sits here and spins. It's supposed to anyway. Just like that, and you can see the felt there. This one's needs a little adjustment, but yeah, you could still get these. I believe that louvers, it's the grates that are really hard to get on the front, or at least difficult to get, but you can still get these, and I'm sure all the felt is still available. Alright, so using a little flathead screwdriver just to pry these things up. I don't want to pry on the plastic if I can help it. I'm trying to keep on the metal, so if I don't chip the plastic up. All right, comes out through the front. That's it. So the next thing, like I mentioned, is the heater box. So all sorts of connections here, up at the top here, down into the firewall itself. I'm also going to get those little covers off and see what lies beneath those. And I think that's probably going to do it. I don't intend on undoing the wiring harness at all. The heater box is still connected. The hoses are on the other side there, and they run out to the engine compartment. So I just got to be careful that I'm probably going to make a mess here. And that's about it. Go ahead and get these hoses disconnected. Probably going to have a little bit of a mess here. I'll try not to get in your way too much, but I probably will. Yeah, so those hoses are not worth saving. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut them, and I'll worry about getting them off and everything when I come around that way. Alright, so there's that. So I've got 3 bolts up at the top, it looks like. Let's see, one on the bottom over there, so maybe that's the 4th touch point over there. Alright, so there's 3 up the top, 1 more on the other side. There we go. Easy enough. Obviously have a hole there that we will need to address. Alright, so obviously that is going to need to get replaced, this flange. It feels pretty strong, but that'll probably get replaced too. Might even come all the way over here. Yeah, definitely travels. So now those hoses, as far as I'm concerned, can stay right now. But there's a transition piece in there that needs to come off and get them done. And then we'll go over. We'll pull these covers here real quick to see what's in there. Oh, windshield washer boxes. That's what they're for. Looks good up in there though, so I'll go over and get the other one off. I'm going to get this louver off so I can get this wire out, get that louver off in some way, and then we'll go play with the heater box. Alright, we're going to go ahead and try to get the dash crash pad off. I don't really want to leave this thing out here. It's in halfway decent shape. I started working on it the other day, but it feels like there's some adhesive right in here that I'll get, so I'll come up. I just got a putty knife here. I'll come up from this side. There we go. Alright, so it says 4/4A underneath of that, so that's my guess that this is not an original crash pad, because I don't think they would have written that. Yeah, that's a pretty good amount of rust right here actually on top. Doesn't look like it extends down. I'll show you. Even lost a captive screw. You can see here that's broken through, so the water just got in here and just collected right here, right in that galley or valley there. So this will have to get replaced. This is gone. That'll have to get replaced. And then this is going to be a dicey repair with that little lip and all that. Big old hole there. Yep. So that's all right. We'll go ahead and get this kind of cleaned up a little bit here and get the wire brush in here and get some of the loose stuff out of here. You can see it's through there, pretty good amount of pitting in there, pitting over there, and there's some halfway decent pits over here, but the rest of the ledge looks okay until you get to about in here. So this does not look like it's going to be, oh, and there's a little bit right there too. This does not look like it's going to be a fun repair because of the step and then the little flange there. So I'm not sure how I'm going to approach this. I don't think I can make something like that. Oh, and also it's got a curve to it, so I have to worry about that. So that'll be a challenge. Maybe not. as challenging as that, though I don't know, because that's not, it's just a flat piece of metal. So I checked out the scuttle, I guess you could call it, where the water should drain and everything, and it's not in bad shape at all. I don't really see any rust. There's a little bit of rust there, but nothing in the corners. I know you can't see very well. Sorry about that. But I don't think I'm going to have any surprises in there, which is good. Obviously, I'll go poking around, and when I go to explore the battery tray, especially up in here, that's when I'm going to start to get a little nervous. But all in all, the scuttle looks pretty good. I didn't blow it out or anything, but as best as I can look down inside of there, I don't see any mass rust. Yeah, there's nothing alive in there, so that's good. A lot of leaves, though. Alright, so there's the motor. Looks pretty good. Don't have any problems there. Needs to be cleaned up, obviously, as far as the rust and stuff goes. Still looks strong. Like I said, good amount of stuff here in the water box. There's even a cigarette butt in there. Go ahead and get that out of there just so we can get it cleaned up. Alright, so there's the heater core. Little signs of leakage. Who knows? I'm not going to do that now. All sorts of good stuff in here. Not horrible though. It's not rusted through in any place. That's for sure. I don't know what what that used to be attached to. It was just hanging there. I would like to get this door off, but this little actuator here looks like it's pressed in there. But essentially all that does is it either directs it up into the windshield through those vents when it's like this, actually, because this is where the windshield vents come off of. But then when it's closed like this, it just comes into the footwell, I assume. It just comes right on out. Yeah, so there you go. Get this all cleaned up, put back together, and then call it good. So this is that transition piece to go from the engine compartment into the passenger compartment for the heater. So this is the passenger compartment side, and that's the engine bay side. You can see there's obviously some deterioration there on the edge of the pipes. Whether or not they had the little, I don't remember what these little bumps are called, whether or not they had those on there, I don't know. I'll have to look at the drawings or whatever and see if I need a new one of these. But otherwise, it's in definitely savable shape. A lot of rust at the bottom there, as you would suspect, but definitely salvageable. All right, everybody, that's all I got. Thanks so much for watching. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you think. Well, still moving along with the assessment. Obviously, found a couple areas of rust that I didn't expect today. That might be a little bit difficult, but otherwise, still going smooth. No surprises. I did get floors today, so they should be waiting for me at home, so that's exciting. And yeah, I think that's it. So probably won't be around next weekend, so it might be a week or two before my next video. So happy Father's Day for all you fathers out there, and we'll talk to you next time. Have a good rest of your day. Cheers.